Hey everyone, I'm gonna be doing today. Don't mind that intro. Let me try that again. Hey everyone, it's Dino the Furry here. Today I'm gonna be reacting to Makeup Story Time. Let's get into it. Don't mind me.
Advantage 2 flea prevention is a premium.
I'm just gonna keep doing this until it's...
This is why you should always lock your doors. In 2015, an Australian guy took 3 Snapchat videos of his exotic birds and put them on his story. 15 minutes later, his buddy texts him asking, "What was in the window behind you on that last one?" He pulls up the videos and sure enough, in the last one, you can clearly see someone is pressed against the glass. Nothing comes of the Snapchat videos, but a week later, he hears banging coming from that same door in his house, and he gets his phone out and he walks over to film it in case there's someone there. There isn't, but he uploads the video to YouTube anyways. The next day, someone sends him an enhanced version of that video where as he's walking to investigate the noises, someone with a mask on is standing in the corner of his house. He goes to the police, who look at the video and they're like, "Sorry, that is a masked intruder in your home. So if you value your life, go follow this Australian."
I've always wanted to, try that. Oh, pardon me.
I wasn't gonna do my makeup, but my skin kind of looks like shit, so let's do makeup in a story time. When I was 16, I started dating this 23-year-old guy.
Wait, what?
I normally dated older guys, and my parents knew about him and weren't concerned, so I wasn't really concerned about the whole predator thing. Eventually, I moved into his house with him, and everything was great. I was so happy. A little while later, I come home one day, and I see a note on our door. The note read, "This is not your house. Get your stuff and leave today." I didn't know what to do, so I called my boyfriend immediately. I noticed there was an old man who was the neighbor, just kind of staring at me as I'm standing on the porch on the phone with my boyfriend. Turns out he was the one who left the note on our door. He started walking towards me and I instantly got scared. This is the time when he realized that I had no idea what was going on. And when he started explaining it to me, I had no idea what to believe. What he said to me truly caught me by surprise. Come back for part 2.
Oh!
Part 2. The man came over to me and basically explained that this wasn't my boyfriend's house. When I had first moved in, my boyfriend told me that it was his house that his aunt and uncle let him live in, that it was technically theirs, but they had no use for it, so they were letting him fix it up and live in it. What this neighbor told me was so different. Turns out it wasn't my boyfriend's aunt and uncle's house that he was fixing up for them. Turns out it was an older couple's house who'd been moved to a nursing facility, so they didn't live there anymore and no one was there to take care of the house, which is why it looked so run down. My boyfriend knew this and found a way to get in and convinced me that it was his house. Turns out we were squatters. If you don't know what a squatter is, basically it's just someone who lives in your house. Someone who's like homeless and just kind of like lives under your porch or in your attic or something.
Oh my.
Someone who lives in a house that they don't actually own.
Oh.
Come back for part 3, there's even more.
Oh my.
Part 3. So basically at this point we end up grabbing all of our stuff and we move into my parents' house. One night my friends invited me to a party and my boyfriend decided to stay at my parents' house and I went out to this party.
Bad idea.
Well, eventually at some point during the party the cops end up getting called. So I call my boyfriend to come and pick me up because I'm drunk. And a girl answers the phone. And little did I know, this man had a whole secret family behind my back. He had a whole child with a girl that he had been on and off with for probably about 4 years at this point. And while I was at this party, he was with her and their son. So at this point, I call my friend to come and pick me up from the party and take me home. I recruit my friends to help me when I get home to kick him out of the house. It wasn't a big deal to me that he had a kid. It was a big deal to me that he was still with the baby mom and didn't tell me. Come back for part 4, it gets even crazier. Alright, y'all. Puffle. So my friends and I get back to my house and we get up to my room and we start clearing out all of his stuff into trash bags. I'm cleaning out the top drawer of the dresser when I move some of his stuff and I find 4 loaded heroin syringes. I'm so shocked and so disgusted and taken aback. I never knew this man struggled with drug addiction. And to bring it into my house and hide it and not tell me is where I drew the line. I was planning on just keeping his stuff and letting him come and pick it up decently. But after finding the drugs, I wouldn't let him. I put all of his stuff at the end of the driveway and I told him he could pick it up whenever he wanted, but it looked like it was gonna rain. He came and got his stuff and I didn't hear from him for a couple weeks. But after him and his baby mom fell apart, he hit me up again. And me being the dumb 16-year-old, I went back. One more part, I swear, and then we're done. Papav. So I end up taking him back like an idiot. And he asked me to come over to a friend's house where he's staying. So I go over and I notice immediately something's off. Turns out, he's high. And this was the first and only time he's ever hit me. I wanted to leave because I was scared and I was uncomfortable. I didn't know what he was gonna do when he was under the influence, but he didn't want me to leave. He said he was in the midst of like a panic attack or something and he needed me to ground him. We got in a huge disagreement and that's when he did it. This is what I left with. Some more minor details went down after that, but I haven't talked to him since. Please understand that if you're 16 years old and a guy who's in his mid-20s is interested in you, it's not because you're mature. It's because he's either a pedophile or he knows he can manipulate you and use you. Be safe and be kind. Know your worth.
I was at Walgreens,
May not be
and
on
there
my
was this woman who
subscribers, but,
refused to wear a mask, even though it's mandatory in my county right now. And she was being super rude to the employee there, saying, I don't need to wear one, this America's free. And so another lady in the store comes up and starts spraying the signature Bath & Body Works scent, warm vanilla sugar, all over her face. And was like, bitch, I bet you wish you were wearing a mask now. And it was crazy. But you know what? I'd do it again.
So you guys asked for story times while I do my makeup, and so here it is. Disclaimer, I don't want to argue, so I'm turning off the comments on this video. So I was raised in a pretty conservative household, but we never really talked politics. So as I got older, I had the opportunity to have my own beliefs. I personally am very liberal. And there was one time I was at my dad's house, and his neighbor and one of his neighbor's friends came over, and they were talking about how they know a reformed Nazi, I guess. I was like, how are you a reformed Nazi? And he was like, well, he has a tattoo of a swastika. No, he was. We argued, and my dad brought up Trump. My dad goes, he's not a great man, but at least he does what he said. I said, you know, like you mean molest women. And my father has the audacity to say, well, everyone does it. You heard it here first, folks. This is why we say kill all men. Because all of them do it. Bye.
Okay.
This is why you should never live next to crazy people. In 2015, a girl who was totally fed up with her noisy neighbors finally worked up the courage to go over there and tell them to be quiet. She knocks on the door and out walks this insane-looking old woman who just starts hissing at her. And she doesn't stop hissing at her until the girl finally just leaves. She considers calling the police, but ultimately just goes back to her room and goes to bed. But she wakes up a couple hours later when she hears that same hissing sound. Her first thought is there's no way this can be my neighbor, because she had her door locked. But then she notices there's a big lump right next to her in her bed, and she reaches over to check who it is. Her crazy neighbor leaps out of bed and runs into the closet. This is why you should always look under the toilet seat before you sit down. In 2003, over a 5-day period in London, 3 women showed up to hospitals with the same mysterious symptoms. They say they woke up with these horrible bite marks on the backs of their legs, and then while they're at the hospital, they become paralyzed and die. Despite their similar symptoms, the women had nothing in common except that they had recently been to the same pub. Authorities immediately shut it down and do a thorough search inside of the pub, but can't find anything deadly, until one of the detectives goes to use the pub's bathroom. As he's about to sit down, he thinks he sees something moving in the toilet, so he gives it a little kick. Hiding in the toilet was one of the world's largest and most poisonous spiders, the Brazilian wandering spider, and now they needed to catch it.
That's not going to be easy. That spider, the Brazilian wandering spider, actually is known to have the most toxic venom glands in the entire world. And don't
Let this be a reminder that there really are monsters.
Let's get real. All we want is a great TV that doesn't cost the earth, with features we actually care about, and none of the overdramatic manufactured hype. A TV like this one.
Out there. In 2007, a woman living right near a prison in California got home late one night and went right to bed. Around midnight, she woke up to footsteps on her first floor, assumed it was her roommate, so she goes downstairs to say hi. She yells out to her roommate, who doesn't say anything, and then in walks this giant man who she doesn't recognize. She runs upstairs, jumps in her closet into the crawl space, and hides. As she's helplessly tucked away in this little crawl space, trying not to make any sound, all she hears is this giant man sprinting around her house, running into walls, flipping furniture, and screaming in frustration because he can't find her. Finally, after several hours, she slowly opens the crawl space back up, crawls out, and gets her phone off the nightstand and calls police. As she's telling the police her story, she describes the person who had broken in, and they stop her and say, "Ma'am, go back in the crawl space and stay there. We'll be there as soon as we can." It turned out a 6'11" convicted murderer had escaped the prison and was still on the loose.
Whoa.
Be careful what you put in your body. In 2014, a couple returned to their home to find it trashed in baffling ways. There was lotion all over the door handles, all of their shoes had had their soles ripped off of them, and someone had dumped an entire can of paint all over the toilet. Despite the obvious break-in, the police come and can't find any evidence of theft, so they leave thinking the couple's not in danger anymore. That night, the couple hears scratching underneath their bed and what sounds like a crying animal. Not wanting to find out what it was, they leave and call the cops, who come right back and start investigating the house, and they make a startling discovery in their bedroom. Wedged underneath the couple's bed was this 90-pound tiny little woman carrying a huge butcher's knife and a hypodermic needle. As they're taking this crazy lady away in handcuffs, one of the officers comes over to the couple and is like, "So, she was high on meth, and for at least 2 hours, she had been burrowing a hole in the underside of your mattress with that knife to get to you."
That is very scary.
No one would believe this story if there wasn't a video. In 2013, a rogue wave capsized the tugboat, killing 11 of 12 men on board. The 12th man was flung into the hallway, which was already filled with water. Panicked, he starts swimming towards the exit, but accidentally goes into the engine room where he finds an air pocket. And there this poor man sat, listening to the sounds of these huge sharks fighting over the bodies of his friends just on the other side of the wall. Total darkness, no food or water 100 feet below the surface. 3 days later, one of the divers that was sent down there to retrieve their bodies sees a hand.
On one, yeah? He's alive, he's alive. Okay. All right.
Harrison O'Keene survived the ordeal and plans on writing a book.
Oh wow, that makeup was cool.
Ever wonder what would happen if you stopped sleeping? During World War II, the Russians wanted to find a way to keep their soldiers awake longer, so they came up with this awful experiment where they took prisoners of war, put them in a gas chamber, and then exposed them to experimental drugs to see how long they could keep them awake for. Initially, the drugs seemed great. The first 4 days, the subjects were agitated, but were normal. By day 5, they stopped interacting with each other and began acting extremely paranoid. On day 9, one of the subjects screamed for so long that he tore his vocal cord. On day 14, they started eating themselves. When they turned off the gas on day 15, all of the subjects began screaming in pain.
If you guys don't already know already, I am a huge fan of creepypasta. Now, if you don't know what creepypasta is, it is a YouTube thing. Go check out Mr. Creepypasta's story time. It is actually really cool. Now, there are many characters as well. There's, Jeff the Killer, Laughing Jack, Eyeless Jack, Ben Drowned. The most known one would be Slender Man. Yeah, my parents don't really like him. But it's not that I like him. He's okay, but he's not my favorite. My favorite is Tiki Toby, Masky, and Hoodie, the 3 proxies. They are actually pretty cool.
And begging for them to turn the gas back on. When they didn't, they all...
Yep, so that is what they call the Russian sleep experiment. I think I'm gonna do one other thing too, is my... You saved me. No problem. No problem, it's a good song. I use that in a lot of mine, in a lot of the shorts that I use. So, actually, speaking of which, I'm gonna see if there are any new comments. Oh, pardon me, I'm sorry, I just ate before I did this.
Go.
Wrong one. I want to say it's this one.
Taking a chance.
Yes, I'm gonna call Pierce Taylor out on this. Depends. Oh, ha! Well, anyway, the one thing I want to say to this person, if they do watch this, is, look, I'm sorry you feel this way. I'm sorry you feel that I'm like a bitch, but you gotta remember, to each their own. And also, I'm not the piece of crap. If you're gonna talk about my, my people that way, like my viewers that way and that, of course I'd want you to get off my channel if you're going to be talking about my viewers or even me that way. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like. And if you want, leave a comment if this video does have comments. If you want, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and even share with your friends. As always, have a nice day. I'll see you in the next video.